We've talked about some of the potential roles for government to improve the outcomes in the economy. There are a couple of big problems with government that cut the other way that we need to mention. One is pork barrel legislation, and I am struck by this every time I get one of those postcards from my congressman well, it was more from the congressmen than from the senators who have a bigger constituency, but every time I get a letter from Susan Bonamici, or before that it was David Wu, talking about how many dollars they brought into the 1st District of Oregon, I think about the projects that bring a lot of value to the 1st District of Oregon, but are really paid for by the nation at large. And some of those projects don't seem to offer benefits in excess of their costs. It's only that the benefits are all enjoyed locally and the costs are spread over the entire country that those projects make sense from our point of view. And congressmen trade votes on such bills, and they all sort of scratch each other's backs, and each district is swapping benefits with the other. But in the end, we get projects built whose benefits are not apparently greater than their costs. You can think about the bridge to nowhere that came up in the McCain-Obama campaign. Sarah Palin, the vice president, had touted bringing all sorts of money to Alaska, and they built this huge, multi-million-dollar bridge on the federal tax dollar to serve like 2 citizens on the island. A ferry would have been much cheaper. Actually, the CRC, the Columbia River crossing, made no sense except for the fact that federal transportation dollars were paying for half or more. The max, I love the max, but without subsidy from the federal government, there's no way that project would pay. And if we had to pay for it with local funds only, that politically, I don't think it would gain enough favor to be built. So there's just infinite examples of this problem. Another problem with government is the rent-seeking problem. When you have a government that's willing to intervene to change outcomes in particular markets, you create a game whereby firms and even individual citizens know that if they play their cards right, they can get government to intervene in their favor. And so you end up seeing a lot of resources spent trying to gain government favor. And these resources are just waste, especially if the government action that occurs is actually reduces overall welfare, which is, it's easy to find examples of that. Tariff protection, maybe not almost always, but close to always, is harmful to the overall interests of the nation, but is beneficial to a small group of people. So you see all sorts of industries seeking trade protection. I guess the one other term that needs defining is log rolling. Log rolling is the process by which one politician supports another politician's wasteful project. It's sort of a quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's called log rolling, trading these favors. But it all comes at the expense of the citizenry and who's the taxpayer. So there's non-trivial problems with government, and those should be part of a public discourse about government, and we need to always be cognizant of that danger, even as we argue that government might potentially step in and fix market failure. So we always have to ask the question: is the government intervention going to create more harm than exists because of the failure we're dealing with? That's what we need to argue about. And again, we don't have truth from on high. We are parties to a very interesting and ongoing argument.